I had at my first role, I had an experience as an AWS cloud engineer, and also in my second job role, I had a role as a DevOps engineer. So also I've trained hundreds of students across AWS certifications. This is my short introduction.
Okay. So when you have a 2 years of experience, so other day-to-day activities, when you log into your office, and what is the daily routine for you as a DevOps engineer?
As a DevOps engineer, I mean, in my previous company, as a DevOps engineer, it was just like a service-based company. It is not like a typical product-based company. We had customers coming up to us and telling we need they have one website running. So locally, so sometimes they come and they say us to host it in cloud, and some people have they were their company was a startup, so they had just deployed it their website in S3 or EC2 instance, and so they want us to build a CI/CD pipeline to their website. So whenever the developers commit any changes to GitHub, so they wanted it to immediately reflect into their website. So we had a multiple customers coming in, so they wanted us to set up a CI/CD pipelines or deploy the website uh, cloud. So this was my day-to-day task, deploying and building CI/CD pipelines from scratch, and also building microservices and deploying in Kubernetes and all.
So where was your website deployed? Kubernetes.
No, we had a multiple customers, wow, multiple customers we had first in EC2 instance, few customers wanted it to be in Kubernetes.
Mm-hmm. What are the tech stack, like a front end, back end? Which technology you use there?
Yeah, sometimes one of the customers was they had a Node.js applications already ready with them.
Mm-hmm.
So they wanted us to deploy their tech stack were for front end they had React.js, and in back end they had Node.js. So what I did is I had deployed it in EC2 instance. So
Mm-hmm.
in front end, I had deployed it in one of the EC2 instance in public subnet, and then their backend it was in Node.js, so I deployed it in another EC2 instance, so I had it in private subnet, and also they wanted it to be in PostgreSQL, so I in RDS I had requested for I had used for PSQL Postgres SQL. I had it in again that in private subnet.
Okay.
So I had a load balancer for this, and also auto scaling group. So I also I had an SSL certificate in ACL. Uh, so this was my tech stack for this application, and also they had some of the images for their application. So I had stored it in S3 bucket.
So when you get the requirements, like how you design your architecture and how you collect the requirements, because just if someone says like, hey, just created this CI/CD pipeline, so we can't directly go and blindly create anything, right? So
Correct,
first
correct.
just correct the gathering. So on
We
what
asked.
basis you decide to which type of instance you need to select, or how you decide the architecture?
No, we asked their targeted audience or customers, or how is their business running. One of our customers is there were they had a zero customers. There were e-commerce startup.
Mhm.
So all of a sudden, in e-commerce, in social media, their company went into viral. So
Mhm.
their many customers came. So there it was in single EC2 instance, so it was getting crashed. So immediately that customer came to us. So what we did is immediately as it was just a um, basic website, we had load balancer immediately to it and auto scaling group to it. So
Mhm.
immediately, but once everything was set, again we properly set it up, the load balancer and auto scaling group to it. And also we after that we started asking what customers do you have and all. So if they're like some of the customers they wanted there were a very big architecture diagram, so they wanted it to be microservice architecture. So we divided, we had set of developers with us. So we divided the monolithic architecture to microservice architecture. So we deployed it in microservice. And also we have an experience, like I have an experience deploying in S3 as well as EC2 instance, also a single Docker, also like Kubernetes, like I have like, experience in deploying in all of this.
Okay. So before creating the architecture, as you have said, so how you calculate the estimate budget for that resource creation? Do you use any tools, or do you have any paid tools integrated in the AWS itself, or how you calculate the budgets,
No,
or how you
roughly,
work for the
like
cost optimization?
usually, like we roughly can consider the services what we can be using, and there is a AWS calculator what will be using it. Like for typically like an average bill, we will give the customers that this will be like the bill. So like most of the customers were in the startup, so we suggested them to like, get a credits from AWS. So they were getting around 1,000 credits. So that was within our budget. Like so we had around like less than $100 or $200. So but that was included in their startup kit from
Mhm.
AWS itself. So we are using AWS calculator.
Okay, let's say you have one situation like you have a $100 budget for this project or architecture,
Okay.
and you need like alerts if something or budget extended or some goes beyond the $100. So how you can set up the budget
Like we can
alerts?
go to the billing section and we can trigger the forecasting bill. Like if the budget is exceeding more than $99 or $100, please
Mhm.
set me a alarm or SMS or email or anything. We can set up the alarm there.
Okay. Okay, you have experience in the CI/CD pipeline as well. So can you just
Yeah,
give
yeah,
end-to-end setup process how you can define?
yeah, sure, sure. Like what I did is like first one we had GitHub, GitHub Actions,
Okay.
and we had around like also we had around yeah, this was our basic and also EC2 instance. This was the basic like every day-to-day pipelines I was setting up. What it was happening is like we had in like there were two or three developers. Like we had a common repository for them. Like all the things they were pushing into a same repository. So what it was happening is like we had an as it we had an like we had LZ endpoints. So before merging it into a GitHub, like there was a integration test happening. So if the LZ endpoint is working, then only the developers were able to merge the code. As soon as they able to merge the code, like we had an yeah, like Terraform packer. So there
Okay.
was an image getting built. So we had an shell script for building this um, image. So we also incorporated the system D. Like system D means like suppose we add a Node.js application. So in Node.js application, like every time when we add a new instances spinning up, so like this application should be able to start it automatically. So we don't want it any manual intervention there. So we
Mm.
incorporated system D there. So this was in the shell script itself. So like as soon as any change is small, even a small dot, if any developer make the changes, like with the help of GitHub Actions, like there was a new artifact like a zip file created of this application, and like this there was an image, EMI image getting built uh, out of this, and we were using Pulumi, like instead of Terraform we are using Pulumi for building the infrastructure. So at the beginning, like we had an initial infrastructure setup. So like as soon as like any changes coming up across the developers, like that instance was getting refreshed, and the new EC2 EMI image was it was getting launched in the launch template, and there was a new instances getting created. like there was an instance refresh happening. So this was, and also we had in cloud agents installed inside the EC2 instance. So we had a multiple APIs. So we were getting the logs of these APIs, like how many APIs were hit, how many times, and LZ status and all. Like we had it was coming in uh, CloudWatch. So this is the most of the times we had.
Okay, you have configured the
This is
CloudWatch region to push the logs to CloudWatch.
correct. Yeah.
Okay. So do you integrated SonarQube in the pipeline?
Yeah, one time we had integrated SonarQube, but under the guidance of my senior engineer.
Okay.
Like if it was the code quality was like more than 65 or 75%, like then it was we were able to push it into the production server, or
Mm.
we and all the developers were getting the notification in Slack.
Okay. So how you plan about the rollback process? Sorry, not rollback, a production release process. Do you follow any standards in your project?
Yeah, usually as it was a small scale thing, we had around three three environments. One is dev, one is testing, and one is production. It was once if everything was set up in dev environment and we were checking in testing environment, as I told you, like there was an image, AMI image we were building every time when was there was a changes. So
Mhm.
this image was shared across three accounts: development, QA, and the production environment. So we were testing in each environment: dev environment, QA environment. So if everything was running perfectly in QA, then only we were making that changes to uh, production.
So what branching strategy you follow there?
Like I mean, we had two different infrastructure, not normal, like no, just give me 1 minute. I'm recalling it.
Hmm. So if I interrupt and ask you the question like what is the Git branching strategy? So how you can answer?
Yeah, sure. Git test branches means like in the terms of environment or in terms of the regular normal branches.
Git workflow basically master branch. Out of master branch, you will create one feature branch, then the merge request. After CI integration work properly, successfully pass, build pass, so you can just move to merge to that feature branch to master branch. From the master branch, you can push again deploy changes to on the test environment. Then QA will perform the sanity test,
Correct.
whatever the test. Then
Correct.
you can create a one release ticket for the production release, and you can follow the release process like with the master branch.
Correct. Yeah.
And some hot fixes, if there are any hot fixes, then you will create the branch like a hotfix branch or something. If you have any bugs, you can just create the branches like a bugs or something or Jira ticket number like that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
let's say in your project you face some major escalation or the issues basically. So how you can submit the RCA report? What things you need to mention in that?
No, I've not used those reports. I was a junior engineer. I was just been shadowing my senior engineers.
Okay. You never heard about this RCA root cause analysis?
No.
Okay. This is just a basically root cause report where sometimes if you face major issues in production environment, and
Okay.
in that case client may ask you like just give the RCA report for this issue. Okay, then in that case in that RCA report you need to give the what was the exact issue on what time or something, then what was the root cause behind that and how you solve it, and what was the impact in terms of business point of view. So that is the RCA report client may ask when we have any major escalation or the issues in the production system.
Okay. Got it.
So as you have said, you are using auto scaling in the environment. So
Yeah.
let's say you every new changes, how you managing the AMI? Let's say you have launched your EC2 instance based on the particular AMI, but
Yeah,
after certain periods you deployed any libraries or something. So how you manage this?
like we use the concept of instance refresh, like auto scaling instance refresh. So there was a like as you know, like auto scaling groups use launch template. So in that
Mhm.
launch template, like every time the AMI what we built new one, it was getting updated there. So the instance, old instances was getting terminated one by one, and we were getting the new instances with the new AMI with the new launch template. So we are using the concept for instance refresh.
Instance refresh
Yeah,
is any tool or a service?
like it's an service of auto scaling group. It's a feature of auto scaling group. So we were mentioning the instance refresh in GitHub Actions. So like it was automatically the instance was getting refreshed and new EC2 instance was getting created.
Okay. Okay. In terms of which services you manage in the AWS?
I didn't get your question. Can you repeat it? Which instance?
In no, in AWS, how many or which services you have experience?
Yeah, I've been using EC2 instance, S3, RDS, ACM, CloudWatch, and Secrets Manager, and
Mhm.
yeah,
So
load balance. Yeah.
let's say your manager told you like, hey Pramod, just we are getting too much cost for the non-production environment. Okay, how we can minimize that cost? So how we can just perform the action item to reduce the cost?
Oh, to reduce the cost of which one?
Non-production environment like a dev or test.
Yeah, what we can do is like we can automate it, like automate the infrastructure. Like once if the dev and queue is like testing is over, like we can, as we are using Terraform or Pulumi, like we can immediately destroy it.
But test environment might require, right, to test any performance or something before production release. So how many times we can delete that?
No, what one of the like use cases what we were doing is like
Mhm.
we had a microservices architecture. So
Okay.
there like we had a master and slave Jenkins. So as soon as like a master like we were using role based action like role based um, control for Kubernetes.
Mhm.
Like immediately once the job is done, like master will be always up and running. So as soon as like when we wanted to build a new image for like suppose any microservice, like this master used to activate this slave, and then we used to build the image and push it to Docker Hub or any registry of our choice, and immediately the we were destroying the slave node. So there we were cutting the charges. Like what question like you asked, like same question we got it with our customers or with the product managers or with the senior manager. So
Mhm.
like we incorporated this, like we automated like
Okay.
it was automatically getting destroyed.
Okay. Let's say if it's not a microservices, then like you have a EC2 instance and the database RTS. So how you will manage?
Non-production environments.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is, like we'll take the backups, like the data backups, like suppose an EBS backup or any backup, and we'll destroy the main EC2 instance or the RDS.
Okay. And every day you will create new one.
Mm,
Because a dev
yeah,
not see non-production environment we required for the daily basis, right? Because a dev team
yeah.
can't do
Dev team
any testing.
other
Mhm.
correct. Apart from production environments, everything will destroy it. Like because like in one click we can have a Terraform, like we can have the infrastructure up and we can destroy the infrastructure.
Yeah, but your development team want to perform any testing or any feature changes on the dev environment. So deleting the resources will not definitely help out you. Okay, that is not a right way.
Okay.
So what we can do is basically what we do in the project. So you can use either system manager service maintenance window. There is option in the system manager where you
Okay.
can shut down automatically and start your servers after the business hours, like you are working 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. something. So after
Okay.
that business hours you can make it shut down, as it
Okay.
might be either your database or your instance or whatever. Okay, there is a option to automatically stop and start the instance, EC2 or
Okay.
database. Okay,
Okay.
because on the day basis when you work as a business hours, you require to you mean the developer might required for the feature changes, deployments continuously, and any performance testing something by QA team. So they
Okay.
during the office hours they required to get the access and work accordingly, because directly we can't do any changes or testing on the production environment, right?
Yeah,
So
correct.
during the office hours we can just let
We
it
can
be,
schedule, yeah, we can
yeah,
schedule it. Yeah.
let it be running after business hours, after 5 p.m. or 6 p.m., whatever the business cycle. So after that we can make it shut down during the
Okay.
night period. That is the one approach. Second approach is you can use, if you don't want to use system manager, so you can write down any lambda function to trigger the lambda function for the to stop the instance or RDS daily basis, stop
Okay.
and start. Okay,
Okay.
this is the one approach to for the cost optimization. The second thought is like you can do if you have a resources like database or EC2 instance and you want to use that for longer period of time, like 1 year or more than that. So there is an option cost optimization, right? A saving plan
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
or reserve instance. So you can use that option as well.
Okay.
So obviously you will save almost 50% cost of the infrastructure for the EC2 section. If you use calculator, AWS calculator, so you will see that observation. So you can just try to select one any random EC2 instance type and just select the option payment option like on demand and you can see the cost. Then if you same configuration, you can select the payment option on a saving plan, 1 year or 3 years. You will see the difference. Massive
Correct.
difference, you will see that 50% around.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this way you can reduce the cost. One more method is like removing the unnecessary infrastructure or right sizing the infrastructure, which we use technical word. Like what is
Yeah.
the right sizing basically? So let's say you have created one EC2 instance with the 100 GB storage, but actual use cases is very low, like 10 GB or something, but you have allocated the space very larger. So why you need to pay unnecessary 80 GB or 90 GB to the AWS cloud, right? Or any cloud. So that we need to right size the instance configuration as well as the instance type. Like you are using the servers like 8 GB RAM or something C4 series, but your actual use cases is very low. It's like a 2 GB consumption memory and the CPU. So in
Correct.
that case, you can also reduce that part.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So now the next question is, I want to launch one EC2 instance, but
Okay.
in the during the launch of EC2 instance, I want to install any kind of MySQL service or Nginx web server. So how we can automate that? So after that launching the servers, I don't want to manually intervene and run the commands manually. So how I can automate that process?
Like you wanted to install some of the services there.
Services during the launch of EC2 instance.
One thing what I can do is like definitely I can put if it is a very small task, like I can use shell script and put up script,
Mm-hmm.
like, or else I can use a Ansible playbooks. So I
Mm-hmm.
can call like I can call this Ansible playbooks in Bootstrap script if it is a very long things and all. So
Okay.
like once if the boot up happens, like it will call the Ansible playbook and it will be configured on it, like automatically configured. This is one of the strategies.
Mm. But to automate that process, you need to configure the passwordless connection, right? How you connect the Ansible server to your edge client where you want to execute that command?
Yeah, correct. Like we need to set up the connection between that and this server,
Mm-hmm.
both the server.
Okay.
And
So yeah, yeah,
no,
continue.
or else what we can do is like
See, there is one option when we launch EC2 instance, there is an option called user data concept.
Yeah, that's what I told, like boot up script.
Yes, so from there as well, you can just configure that.
Yeah, that's what, like what one more strategy we were using is like of course, like in boot up script only we start user data. Like there was a playbooks in GitHub. So automatically the Ansible was getting installed in the same EC2 instance, and it was automatically getting configured like whatever we needed, like node application or like Postgres or anything.
So you use Git as well, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So can you explain a few commands? What are the commands you are use generally?
yeah. Yeah, Git first of all, like we used to Git clone, and like once it is Git clone, like we go inside that like CD, like inside the folder, and then we make whatever changes we need, like the code whatever changes we need, and we do Git add, like Git add dot means everything, and also like that is a staging process, and also next is like like continuously we can be adding, and then we can commit it, Git commit minus some and the comment whatever we want, we can commit it, and we can git push it, and once we push it also, like we can pull it. It's the common comments.
Did you face any challenges when you manage the Git repo or code?
Yeah, most of the times there'll be like conflicts, like git conflicts and all.
So how you resolve Git conflicts?
Usually what I do is like like anyways, like all the things will be in main branch itself.
Mhm.
So like whatever changes we do it in the feature like in the feature branch. So one of the strategies what I do is like I copy that files like in the local, and I delete that feature branch, and again I used to create a new feature branch and copy the changes back, and then again I push it. Or else, like if that is also not sufficient, like with the small and all, like I used to go to GUI like in GitHub itself. There, if any red color marks comes, I used to remove it.
Yeah, in GitHub itself, they will see the option like your changes accept or their changes accept.
Correct, correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
There, I'll be able to put some.
Mm. Yeah. Do you have experience in the Terraform?
Yeah, like recently, like slowly I'm getting experience in Terraform, but usually I had an more experience in Pulumi.
Which one?
Pulumi.
Okay. So let's say in AWS environment, I have one S3 bucket which has around more than 10 GB data or something.
Okay.
I want to migrate those data to the different S3 bucket or different account. So how we can migrate? Or what type of the approaches are there? The type of ways we can migrate this S3 bucket data.
Or like, can I know how many GBs of data?
Yeah, you can just, for example, I'm just giving 10 GB, but you can consider more than that, 50 GB or something.
10 GB, what is one thing is like if you wanted the copy of it, we can do cross region and same region replication. But
Mhm.
that replication, we can't migrate it because like once like at the beginning itself, we need to set up this replication. Like like suppose example, there is some 10 GBs of data already in bucket A. So we have established this uh, replication rule, but the previous 10 GBs of data will not automatically come to bucket B. So the like from the 11th GB, from upcoming GB, whatever comes there, then it will get replicated.
Yeah.
But what we can do is we can just, if it is very small like 10 GB or 20 GB, we can just download it and we can upload it to a new bucket, or in the different regions that we can or else like what if it is like TBs of data and there is some snowball devices, we can take it and we can put it from one device to we can do that.
Okay. There is a service called data sync service. You might heard about that. So
Okay.
by using data sync service, it's very easy to configure. You just need to set up the source bucket and target bucket, and
Okay.
the optional part is folder or bucket. If you want to migrate only particular folder, so you can mention that prefix there. Or if you want
Okay.
to entire bucket, so you can just avoid skip that part, and you can just easily migrate the all the data present on the source bucket.
Okay. Got it.
It's very easy to use service data sync.
Data sync. Okay.
Yeah, obviously the command line is option is there, but you can itself in the data sync you can configure the daily basis job or something. That is a very
Okay.
useful feature.
Okay.
If you want your source bucket data continuously migration, so obviously apart from the replication you can use this tool as well.
Got it.
So for the monitoring purpose, which tool you use?
For usually like for CloudWatch I've been using for EC2 instance, but
Mhm.
like recently when I've been using microservices, then I've been using service like Prometheus and Grafana.
Okay, so for microservices how you are pushing logs to Grafana?
Like usually like only like basic logs we were getting from like using with the help of service discovery in the Kubernetes. We used to get the logs from Prometheus. From Prometheus, there are different types of logs. What we can get it. If we get it from Prometheus, that graphical representation we can get it from Grafana.
Okay, there's one more tool as well, the Fluentd, if you have heard about that, for
No,
the pod logs monitoring. Fluentd.
fluently. Oh, got it.
Yeah. So what are the difference between CloudWatch and CloudTrail?
Cloud
Watch and
Watch
Cloud
Cloud
Trail.
Cloud Watch is like getting the logs, or it's like a monitoring tool. Cloud Trail is like the security perspective, like we can capture the configuration steps in the
API
Cloud Trail.
API activity.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Now coming to the load balancer part. So what is the pre-warming concept? Or let's say you are managing the e-commerce website,
yeah,
and tomorrow you have a at 11 a.m. you have a event, and you might expect heavy traffic during that period of the time.
okay,
You have a setup like architecture. You have what 2 3 servers are there. Then on top of that you are using load balancer, application load balancer. So how for particular 1 hours of the peak time, how you handle this traffic?
like if we have already expected the traffic on that particular hour, we can only uh, we can there are multiple strategies like time-based strategies, like we can immediately like on that time, like before 10 minutes like or before 1 hour, we can like time-based scaling, like automatically we can scale up like 10 or 20 servers
Hmm.
already, and then because of minimum let it be 10 and maximum it can scale up to 100, we can set the rule there.
Hmm.
uh, and that's all, like mainly like we can should have auto scaling group itself.
Okay, you will do that from the auto scaling group.
Yeah, yeah,
So do you heard about the concept like pre-warming?
yeah,
Yeah,
I've heard of
that
pre-bombing.
is one more option definitely. The increasing the horizontal scaling. So what about the pre-warming concept?
Yeah, I've heard, like I've not know exactly like what it is.
Okay, so pre-warming concept is basically to handle the unexpected traffic or the specific predicted traffic for the load balancer.
Okay,
So as a customer, we can't scale that load balancer capacity because it's managed by the backend as a platform as a, infrastructure as a service. AWS cloud or any cloud, let's say. So we
okay,
need to raise a request to the cloud support team. Like tomorrow on this time, we may expect some heavy traffic on this load balancer. You need to give the load balancer name endpoint, and you need to request them to like just can you increase the capacity of this load balancer from the backend side. because application load balance is ultimately somewhere resources, right, deployed on their backend system.
Okay.
So what they will do is basically from their side, they will increase the capacity. It might be their pod or hardware machine or whatever VM machine. So they increase the baseline capacity from their side for
Okay.
that particular period time, which is called as a pre-warming concept.
Okay. Got it.
For that, we need to raise the request to the AWS team.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and obviously the other options you have explained, like horizontal scaling, definitely that will also good option. So what is the vertical scaling and the horizontal scaling?
Vertical scaling is increasing the size of the EC2 instance, or increasing the size, basically.
Mhm.
But horizontal scaling is increasing number, same type of instance, but increasing number of instances, like 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and decreasing it.
Mhm.
But from vertical scaling is like increasing from T2 micro to T3 micro, or like larger instance.
Yeah, correct. In terms of infrastructure security, what action you will perform to secure the infrastructure in the cloud?
Infrastructure securing, mainly like we go like in the root level, like firstly we configure the VPCs properly and with the public subnet and private subnet.
Mhm.
And also we if we have a CDN above the load balancer, so that will also protect us from DDoS and any other WAF and all automatically it gets. And also like we have there is service called web application firewall, so we can
Mhm.
have that as well. So this is what we can security perspective.
Mhm. Apart from that, like user management, S3 bucket security, like that.
Yeah, like yes, three bucket, like we can control it with IAM.
Mhm.
Like one is like security and like IAM controls and policies controls we can do.
Let's say one user requested you, just give me just one bucket access only. So how you can define the policy?
One bucket, like there is a principle called least principle. Like we need to give only that for that particular. We can set the policy in the like in the settings, like in the S3 bucket policy, to give to this particular user only that particular bucket. We can set the policy.
Okay, because giving the all the bucket access might be a security issues.
Correct. Yeah. Can set the
If
policies for the each user.
if that user perform any delete operation, so might be a
And
very
also, yeah, we can create what type of operation we can do. Like suppose, like if we can only get the objects or post the objects or delete the objects, any particular thing also we can set the
Mhm.
settings.
Okay. Let's say in S3 bucket, you have one image file which you want to share to the particular users or something, but you want to share only for a particular time period, like 1 hour or 1 minute or whatever, only for the short time of period. So how you can give, and also
Like,
we don't want to make a bucket or object publicly accessible. So how you can
like
share
what we
this?
can do is like we have a concept called like pre-signed URLs.
Mhm.
So pre-signed URLs is basically for a particular time. Like suppose like I've forgotten this concept, but it is like 7 minutes to 7 hours, something
Mhm.
like this. So that is one of the concept.
Okay. What is the difference between application load balancer and the network load balancer? When we need to choose which application load balancer we need to use.
Yeah, application, just to give me 1 minute. Like it runs in application layer, network load balancer runs in network layer.
Mhm.
And like if we have like normal like web application application servers, Like we can use load application load balancer. But if we have like a dedicated like gaming servers or different type of more traffic coming in, then we can use network load balancer.
Okay. What are the 6 pillars, well-architected pillars, basically framework model, AWS
Yeah, well
suggest
architected
architecture?
frameworks is operational excellence. It should be security and it should be cost optimized
Hmm,
and it should be resilient.
hmm, right. So do you have experience in the migration, database migration or server migration?
No, but I have a little bit experience in planning the servers. Like if we have like if we have like in on-premise, if we have 100 servers, then like we will be doing for 100 servers only VPC. Like I have one I have an experience in planning it, but I have not done it actually. Like in cider range, we can capture these. Like we can have that particular cider range to have only 100 EC2 or like 100 servers. So we will not be like wasting the resources. Something like this, I have an experience.
Okay.
Like in planning of servers, I have that. Sorry, like that, not then the migration.
Yeah, because the migration also we should aware about the uh, even if we don't do any hands-on practicals, but at least what migration strategy types, how we can plan that, and what rollback strategy we need to follow, and which tools we can use for the migration. Like it might be a database migration or your server migration kind of stuff.
Okay,
Yes, for database migration, we can use DMS service in the AWS database
correct,
migration
correct. Yeah,
service. So you haven't configured any practical or real time?
no, no.
Okay. So I have already prepared one session on not session, just GitHub repo I have.
Sure.
Let me check if I can send you. So overall, I think you have a good knowledge. Just wherever you feel like you need to just focus on like some services. Apart from that, because still I have not asked question about the Kubernetes and the case cluster or something. So if you have a good knowledge on that as well, so that also good. Some architecture or yeah, this migration part definitely you should know how we
Okay.
can migrate the particular database or servers. And nowadays, what I'm not sure about the US side, but in I think US side also they are giving the assignment right after the interview.
Yeah, assignment means.
So normally the interview panel process is changed now. So it's depend on company to company. But now let's say I have taken your first round, right?
Okay,
So you will give one assignment like just configure this. You will give one. I will give you one requirement as an interview panel. So just configure the Terraform code for the EKS cluster.
okay,
Just deploy one pod. It might be your WordPress pod or any other application front end pod, Node.js base
okay,
or React.js base or Nginx base, and configure one database. Okay, and write down the Helm chart over there. These kind of assignments you will get
okay.
nowadays. Yeah,
Got
and
it. Yeah.
more questions might be on this CI/CD pipeline, Kubernetes clusters. Obviously, they will ask about the intro on the AWS itself. But apart
Okay,
from that, Kubernetes, your CI/CD, Terraform, the what is the module wise in the Terraform, module base.
okay.
So when we do normal practice, we can configure in the single main dot file, right? Main.tf
Yeah,
file. But in
correct.
the real time
So we
practice
have
one,
modules and we can be consuming each of the modules and the main.
yeah, and they how we can configure the remote state management something on the S3 bucket like that.